guys, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be ranking all 12 of the theatrically released Star Wars films. This will not include the Clone Wars. This will not include Solo and Rogue One, the spin-offs. It won't include those because I haven't reviewed them. It only include the not theatrically, but the nine films in the Skywalker saga. So let's get started. So coming in at ninth place is gonna be Star Wars Episode 2: Attack of the Clones. Now this is probably um, where the franchise starts getting well, not the entire franchise as a whole, just George Lucas's trilogy, where it starts getting it started off bad, and then it got worse with Attack of the Clones, but it revitalized itself with Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. But Attack of the Clones it's packed with bad CGI. It's packed with, especially that there's this one sequence in the film with I'm not gonna go full into detail, but there's just one sequence where Padme and Anakin or whatever, they're running through this like machine, and it's the CGI is very noticeable in that. So yeah, so this one I definitely do not recommend. Coming in eighth place is gonna have to be Star Wars Episode 1: The Phantom Menace. Now this one is not a huge step up from the Attack of the Clones. Well, this one took place before Attack of the Clones, but it's the problems I have with Phantom Menace is that one, Jar Jar Binks, I did not like his character. The action sequences were okay in this movie. Um, they were better than Attack of the Clones, so that's at least one positive thing about it. But other than that, I'll watch it again, but not as much as the ones that are above, obviously. But Attack of the Clones, I will never watch in my entire life ever again. I probably might watch it once if I have to, or for whatever reason. Coming in at seventh place is gonna have to be Star Wars Episode 9: The Rise of Skywalker. This is probably the most disappointing out of all the films, as I was going into this film thinking it was gonna be awesome, it was gonna be really good, because J.J. Abrams is directing it. He gave us The Force Awakens, and that was really good. So he's directing this one. So it can't be that bad. And I watched it, and I loved it the first time I saw it. And then as I watched it again, when I bought the Blu-ray, and I watched it again at my house, I understand why people do not like the film. It is, it's like, because I get why some people would like it, but I also really get how people do not like this film. This film should be a massive, well, it doesn't have to be massive, but it should be a satisfying conclusion to the Skywalker saga. And in some ways it is, where you're giving Leia a perfect send-off. I thought that was great. You're giving Ben Solo a redemption arc. I thought that was great. But killing off Ben Solo in the end, I don't think was a great choice. They should have killed Rey off, because I don't think there's anywhere to go with her character. And besides, they're done with it, and the stakes don't really feel that high. I'm only saying this because no characters die except Kylo Ren and probably, I think, all the First Order, probably, I'm pretty sure, but there are no stakes in the film. You would think that, maybe Poe would die, or Finn, or Rey, but Kylo Ren, he was my favorite character, and it was fine that they killed him off. Like, I'll be perfectly fine with that, but like, they should have killed off someone else. They should have killed off probably Finn. Finn, to me, was useless throughout the entire sequel trilogy. Last Jedi, he did nothing. This film, it was even worse. Poe Dameron, he was really good in Episode 7 and 8. But this film, I don't know. I did like the scene where Lando said that like I don't know, I forgot what he said, but when all the ships came, I like that scene, you know, the Star Wars theme playing, but I don't understand how he had enough time to get all those ships. But I'll leave the rest for my review, which I already did. And yeah, I did not like this film. Coming in sixth place is Star Wars Episode 6, The Return of the Jedi. This film is a really good film, just not just the worst out of the original trilogy. I like some other films I like more. I like more than this one. But it's a really good it's a really satisfying conclusion to the original trilogy. Closes out Luke's story perfectly. Well, I mean, doesn't really close out his story. I mean, he is in episode 8 and all stuff, but it closes out the original trilogy perfectly. I think Richard McDerrick, I don't know his name. His name is Richard something, but I think he did a really good job with closing out the original trilogy. So, Star Wars: The Return of the Jedi comes in at sixth place. Coming in fifth place is Star Wars Episode 8: The Last Jedi. Now, this is probably the most divisive film behind The Rise of Skywalker, because this film, there are some aspects of the film that I really love. The film is beautifully shot. The cinematography is fantastic. But the other scenes, like, I mean, the characters, some of them, like Rose, I didn't really enjoy her character. But Captain Phasma was one of my favorites, and they killed her off. I think she was kind of a useless character, but the only reason I liked her character was because she was, I don't know how to say it. Like, a lot of people don't really like Captain Phasma, but I kind of like Captain Phasma because she was kind of like, you know, the next rank under General Hux. She was like the lead stormtrooper, so I mean, she did her part right. I liked her in the film, but I don't know. It's because there's some parts that I really love, but the other parts, like I thought Luke on Octo, that entire scene was great, but some of it when it took too long. That's my main problem with the scene in Octo with Luke and Rey. I think that scene could have been probably like, since the movie was 2.5 hours, I feel like the Octo scene should have been like, what, like 35, 45 minutes? But I think it carried on to like an hour or something like that. And then I like the battle scenes in this movie also. The battle scenes are pretty good. There's these little creatures called the Porgs. I think they're really nice in the movie. They're fine. You know, you can't have Star Wars without those Star Wars creatures. You know, you can't. Um, the final battle with Luke and Kylo Ren in the, I think it's snow. I'm pretty sure it's snow. It's snow. I think the Battle of Crate. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. Um, I love that scene. That scene is by far one of my favorites in the entire franchise, and that scene alone um, makes this movie like higher because this movie right now is in fifth place on my list. It was probably before the Rise of Skywalker came out. I would say it was in Rise of Skywalker's place, and then it moved up because then as I started watching Return of the Jedi, I didn't really like that as much as The Last Jedi. But The Last Jedi is, I think, a beautifully shot Star Wars film. Um, it's it. Some questions don't get answered, but me personally, I was fine with Ray's parents not getting that question not being answered. I was fine with that because since they were coming out with another film, then it was perfectly fine. But as you know, I did not really like The Rise of Skywalker and how they did Rey's backstory. Like, I feel like in Rise of Skywalker, they just threw Palpatine in for no reason. But The Last Jedi is very rewatchable. One of my favorites. You know, I'll watch it I'll watch it. I'll watch it like 2 or 3 times. Out of 2 weeks or whatever. Why not? Um, it's long, but it's not as long as the Rise of Skywalker. So that's good. Coming in fourth place is going to be Star Wars Episode 7: The Force Awakens. Now, when this film came out, I started getting into Star Wars, and I started because I watched Star Wars, in 2014, 2013. No, I watched like probably Episode 6, Episode Return of the Jedi. I probably watched those movies, but I wasn't like a huge Star Wars fan. And then when I saw Star Wars: The Force Awakens, I just it was because before I was a fan of Han Solo. Han Solo was my favorite character because I saw the original trilogy. He was my favorite. He was the smuggler. He was cool. And then in this film, when they killed him off, it was sad because he was my favorite character. But I think they did a great job with his character in this movie. Um, the other characters, Rey, Finn, they're all great. Supreme Leader Snoke, you only see him in one scene, which to me before I thought they should have had him like present in the movie, but now that I'm thinking about it, The Last Jedi was perfect with the way they put Snoke in there, so I was perfectly fine with that. So yeah, I love The Force Awakens, and it's a great Star Wars film, and I highly recommend it. Coming in third place is going to be Star Wars Episode 3: Revenge of the Sith. This film is great. It's awesome. It has a lot of action sequences that are perfect. The character development is great. Padme was better in this one, but not that good. Um, all the characters were good in this movie. It was the action sequences were filmed perfectly. Um, I guess I don't really have a problem with this film. I mean, it's what 2 hour, 20 minutes, something like that. I didn't. I thought that it was like 2 hours or something like that. It didn't feel like 2 hours and 20 minutes. Um, it felt like probably like an hour and a half, 2 hours. It didn't feel that long. So that's good for a movie because if it feels longer than it is, then I mean it's probably a sign that you're bored. So I was never bored throughout the film. So it was a great film, and I recommend watching it. Coming in second place is Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope. This film started out the entire Skywalker saga to all Star Wars. It came out in 1977. This film is, um, well, obviously very rewatchable since it's my second favorite, but it's like it's like a film that reimbursed like sci-fi action, fantasy. It was just perfect. Well, not perfect, but it was really good. Really good. This film introduces Luke, Leia, Darth Vader, one of my favorite villains of all time. You have who else do you have in this movie? You have Han Solo, of course, my favorite character. Um, and Han Solo in this movie is really good. Harrison Ford did an awesome job portraying Han Solo in this movie. And this film is the action sequences are great. This is just an overall great film, and this is my second favorite Star Wars film, so it's really good. In my opinion, it's really good, and I highly recommend checking this one out. This should probably be the first one that you watch, even though it's episode 4. I think that was a smart. It was really smart how George Lucas did this, because he put 4, 5, and 6 first, and then obviously 1, 2, and 3 as prequels. But I feel like it made sense because, well, I mean, it did make sense that it would have he's starting off with Luke, and then goes through goes through the trilogy, him fighting his own father, Darth Vader, and all that stuff. And then episodes 1, 2, and 3 are the prequels, so they're really it's basically the story all about Anakin, and I feel like this entire Skywalker saga should have been about Anakin Skywalker. It should have been like how 4, 5, and 6. Number 4 was kind of about like Luke and all the characters, and that was great. Number 5 was all about Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader. Number 6 was all about Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader turning to the light side. Yeah, he turned to the light side because yeah, he does. He kills the Emperor. He turns to the light side. Yeah. And then 1, 2, and 3 are like him transitioning into being this ultimate bad guy, Darth Vader. So I feel like New Hope was a very good film, and I highly recommend this film. But coming in first place is, this should be no surprise, Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. This is my definition of a perfect film. This has action, romance. It has, it's fun. It's a very fun film, and the score for a specific fight scene with Darth Vader and Luke is perfect. I love the score for that. Yeah, this film is just my favorite Star Wars film, one of my favorite films of all time. This is definitely the best out of the original trilogy, and I highly recommend seeing this film. I highly, highly, highly recommend seeing it. So that was my ranking of all 9 Skywalker Saga Star Wars films, and thank you for watching. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and press the notification bell so you get notified for every video. I'm Peter, and thank you for watching.